Hey guys, welcome back to Legal Marketing Live, presented by Spotlight Branding. I'm Daniel Decker, and I'm here with Mark Cerniglia.
Hey everyone.
We are glad that you guys are with us today. So we're going to talk today about video, and specifically how you can use video to kind of take your marketing efforts to the next level.
Absolutely.
So let's jump in there, Mark. What are some of your favorite, why should people consider video?
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't take too much convincing these days, but I think video marketing is it's just so much more appealing than text to most people, right? I think that whether you're on a website or you're on social media, people are already more likely to interact with images than they are text, and video, even more so. You just see video ads everywhere, right? Almost every good business website has a video these days.
Yeah.
People are constantly sharing videos on social media, so
Yeah.
I think 10,000 foot view. I think people just enjoy video more,
Yeah.
right? I think there's something about
Yeah.
maybe how you connect with it, or maybe it's just because you don't feel like reading, but for whatever reason, people just like video more.
No, I agree. I think I'm weird because I actually do prefer reading text to watching video, but I've seen so many studies that the vast majority of website viewers would rather watch a video than read text. So even if you as an attorney, maybe you're kind of wired to enjoy reading because that's what you do, but don't let that influence you. The stats are overwhelming that most people would rather watch a video than read text, to your point.
Yeah, and I think what's nice about video too is that I think it does things text can't.
Right.
I think video can influence emotion
Yeah.
in ways that text can't. One of the big things we see a lot is that video can really create trust.
Yeah.
It can really connect with somebody. I'm not, we're certainly not trying to discredit great novelists out there who can incite emotion and things like that through their writing. But I think that when we talk about legal marketing, that's not, that's not the kind of writing. Well, most likely that's not the kind of writing on your website, but what you probably are trying to do through your website is build your credibility, give people a good sense that you're trustworthy and that they can feel comfortable working with you. And, regardless of what kinds of videos you do, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a minute, but regardless of what kind of videos you do, I just think that video is almost always going to connect with people and create trust in ways that text can't.
Yeah, I think trust is the key word, and we've talked about that on here a few times, but one of the most significant goals of your law firm marketing should be to create that trust. And we've talked in the past about how attorneys kind of face a trust deficit, where the perception of the general public is that they're not necessarily the most, not necessarily motivated for the right reasons, not the most trustworthy. We work with lawyers all over the country, and we know that that's not true. We work with fantastic attorneys all over the country. But that is the perception, and so one of your primary goals with your marketing should be to create that trust. And to your point, video, I think, does that in a way that no other medium can do, aside from an actual face-to-face conversation. A face-to-face conversation is probably the best way to build a rapport, but it's obviously not realistic to try to have a face-to-face conversation with every single person that lands on your website. So that's probably my biggest thing about video, is it creates that rapport, and it goes from, you meet the person where they are, right? They're contemplating divorce, they're stressed out, they're worried about hiring an attorney, they've heard bad things about attorneys.
It's never comfortable to walk into a lawyer's office, right?
But when you put your video on your website and they have the opportunity to watch it and create that connection, all of a sudden now they have a lot more comfort and they're a lot more likely to pick up the phone or show up at your office.
Yeah, I think this is part of why it's really frustrating when a lot of law firms aren't leveraging video in their marketing, because think about the things we just talked about. On one hand, we talked about how it creates trust, how lawyers are already at a trust deficit, and how people are already uncomfortable with whatever situation they're in anyway. So, to be able to make a connection with them is so amazing. But at the same time, to also have content that is more engaging.
Yeah.
Right? It engages people on your website better. You put on your social media, now your social media is more engaging. One of the places we like to put video is in our clients' email newsletters, which then creates better engagement of their email newsletter. So not only is there all of this trust, but it's just going to help people actually pay more attention to the things you're saying.
Exactly.
Which is going to result in more referrals, more clients, more things like that. And so it's one of those things where I feel like if you're not doing it, it's essentially whatever places you would be using it, those things aren't going to work as well as if you did have video on those things.
Well, and that's exactly why we use the language for this episode, take your marketing to the next level, because it really can enhance everything that you're doing. So let's talk for a minute about what type of video to shoot, right? Because there's a lot of different routes you can go. There are some companies out there that are shooting, 2 or 3 minute long brand videos, I would call them, where they use really high tech equipment, and they have B-roll footage going, and they have audio and tons of different cuts, and that stuff looks great. It's great. I think it's a great thing. That's one angle. You can go the commercial angle, where you basically film a 30-second commercial and throw it up on your website homepage. We recommend that you start with what we call video FAQs, which are different from both of those previous things. Again, both of which probably have their place, but we think you should start with a video FAQ. And what we mean by that is create a library on your website of 20, 30, 50 videos where you are just in each video just answering a single common question that you get asked by your prospects all the time. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. I mean, so I think that when we talk about video, it becomes really easy to kind of like, I don't want to say go overboard, but to kind of want to do something really fancy.
Yeah.
And the truth is, all the things we just talked about, creating engagement, building trust, that can be done through a video that isn't fancy. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as saying that there's something about you in front of a camera, just talking to it, sharing basic tips like we're doing right now, that builds more comfort and more trust than if we had music playing in the background right now, and if we had scenes cutting to our staff working in the office, and you saw how awesome they look working in the office. And again, when I'm saying this, I'm not criticizing that style. Right. I mean, we actually honestly like videos like that. It's just that when we think about what's the most essential, what's the starting place, as you said, I think that, believe it or not, I think that, you in front of the camera answering questions that people have.
Yeah.
You're addressing their fears, you're addressing their concerns, you're addressing their confusions, and I think that's some of the strongest video there is, where it's, you just answered their question in 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, and I think that's exactly it. I think shoot for 30 to 60 seconds. I think shoot for common questions that you get asked all the time. So maybe if you're a DUI attorney, you answer questions like, do I have to take a breathalyzer test? How long will my license be suspended for? What is the, what legal penalties am I facing for, XYZ? Just make a list, literally, of the questions that you get all the time from people calling your office or whatever, and just go one at a time, 30 to 60 seconds. Don't script them. We talk about that a lot. A lot of times we talk to lawyers and they're really concerned about answering questions unscripted, but when
you do it every day.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. You do it every day. You talk about this stuff all the time. Like, this stuff, and don't worry about every word being perfectly polished, because the whole idea here, it can actually be, I think, counterproductive to script it, because it makes you almost come off as too polished, versus what we want is for you to just feel like you're having a face-to-face conversation with people.
Yeah, and I'm going to just throw this out there. I mean, maybe you're the exception if you're out there, but I've been involved with well over 100 video shoots with attorneys, and the ones who try to script it are always the ones that came off less natural, believe it or not, had to do extra takes.
Right.
Because they were so focused on trying to say the exact perfect thing and not focused on just having a conversation with the camera, essentially. Right. And I really think, I mean, look, if you have to script your answers, then you maybe need to rethink the questions. Because these should be questions you're getting asked every day by people that come into your office or call you, and they should be things that you can give a 30-second to 60-second answer. One quick thing, too, I've seen, sometimes the need to script comes from making the answer too long. Sometimes there's such thing as too much information. Give people enough to kind of begin to answer their question. You're not trying to solve their legal problem. Through a video.
No, agreed completely. Agreed completely. Go for a natural, unscripted response. Share your expertise. Again, these should be things that like the back of your hand, and it shouldn't be a problem to talk about them. And go for kind of the vibe of you're just having a face-to-face conversation with a camera, because remember how these are being viewed, which is people that are interested potentially in legal services, are a little intimidated, all of the stuff we talked about earlier. So they're sitting at home on their computer, or maybe they're on their phone watching it, and they want to feel that connection and that trust and that rapport, and the unscripted look at the camera, give the answer is kind of the best simulation of a face-to-face conversation. So that's the approach that we certainly recommend. So let's talk a little bit now about the part of this where we talk about how your marketing goes to the next level. So let's talk about how to leverage video kind of throughout the rest of your marketing. So a few instant things pop to my mind. Social media we touched on. touched on email newsletters. We touched on your website. Do you want to talk a little bit about how to make this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't have to be that complicated, honestly. I mean, I highly recommend publishing your videos to YouTube. I mean, that's just kind of the most well-known like video platform out there. And what's really cool about, well, I mean, really they'll all do this, but you know, YouTube will allow you to take the videos and then embed them on your website. You know, so people can actually watch your videos on your website. But what's really cool about that is the video is still being hosted on YouTube. Yeah. It's not well, you know.
And not to mention YouTube and Google are affiliated.
The same company,
and so your YouTube videos are likely to show up in Google search results. It's another
reason. And you know how we feel about Google searches. It definitely gets overhyped, but yes, we do like the fact that you know, your videos are with YouTube and they're owned by Google. That's a great point. Yeah. But I like to start there and then just look at all of the marketing you're doing that's digital and ask yourself if your videos can go there. So you mentioned website. I think you mentioned social media. Put them in your email newsletter. Put them in your Avvo profile. Here's a nice little tip for you guys. A lot of people don't realize that that there's a section on your Avvo profile called contributions. One type of contribution is when you answer legal questions. A lot of people are aware of that. But another one is actually video. You can actually upload video as legal guides. Is I think what Avvo still calls it. And they, you know, they're growing so fast they might have changed the name by now. But you can upload your FAQs as legal guides, and then your Avvo profile can even have a video database. So I think the name of the game is like repurposing, right, or reusing, and that's where videos. They're not like a standalone marketing product. They actually they're enhancers.
Yep, that's exactly it. I would say use video everywhere you can, right? Definitely put it on your website. Create an FAQ library. We would dedicate a page to that and make it part of your main menu or at least a prominently featured, you know, in your resources page or whatever it is, so that you're getting a lot of leverage out of it. Use them in your email newsletters. We touched on that. You know, you can actually, and with most providers anyways, you can't actually embed video directly into an email. But what you do is you take a screenshot of the video and you stick a play button on it and you put that in your email and then you hyperlink it to the actual video on your website. And so when the email lands in your recipients' inboxes, they see it, they click on it, takes them 3 seconds for your website to load. They watch it on your website, and it's great because now they're on your website. You know, the video brought them there, but now they're browsing and they're looking at your other resources and your contact information's right there.
That's a great point too, because I think, you know, we've talked before about the value of bringing people back to your website. Like, you know, this goes back to the whole idea of wanting to increase referrals, increase retention, increase repeat business. You know, don't just look at your website as a marketing tool for new people. It's also something you want to bring people back to.
Yep.
So you know, bring them back with your videos, bring them back with your blog, which we talked about in the past.
And then the other big one I want to touch on is just social media, and it's huge on social media. Video is by far the most popular form of content on Facebook. So definitely get your videos on Facebook often. Get them out on Twitter, get them on LinkedIn, get them on Google+. Just leverage them everywhere. Because again, like we said at the top of the show, most people would rather watch a video than read a wall of text. So if you got these videos, leverage them everywhere. All right, so last thing we should touch on here before we run out of time is how to get this done, right? And obviously, we'd suggest, you know, work with a professional company who's gonna send a videographer out to you and bring all the equipment that you need, and that's probably the gonna get you the best results, right? That's gonna get you the most polished product. But these days, technology is amazing, and it is the type of thing that you can theoretically do on your own. And if you don't have the budget to hire a professional yet, you know, that's not a bad place to start. It's amazing how high quality of a video you can shoot on a new iPhone these days. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about that. I would say the quick things to consider are, one, you've got to have a good camera so you get a good visual picture. Two, you really need to think about the audio. This is one where I think a lot of people who do it themselves go wrong. You need to have, whether it's just a great camera that has its own built-in microphone that works well, or a portable microphone or whatever, you need to have good audio, otherwise the effect is completely lost.
Well, to your point of iPhones, I mean, you can go to the Apple Store or even go to Amazon, and there's actually a lot of microphones you can buy for your iPhones.
Yeah.
You know, and things like that. So there are product extensions out there. If you just devote 10 minutes to looking, you'll find plenty of options.
And so it's audio, it's video, and then I would really think about the lighting. You know, either choose a spot with good natural light or get some artificial lighting. Anything you want to add there as far as
the DIY I would just say, I think you hit the most important three things. It's video, light, audio. But again, if you have to do this yourself, you can scrape these things together either through purchasing some things or even just finding the right location. If you've already got a place that has great light and doesn't necessarily cast a lot of shadows and isn't dark, then then you don't have to go get lighting. But if you need to go get lighting, you can probably spend $50, $100 online and buy a stand-up light. Awesome. If you shoot it with your iPhone and see how the audio sounds. It's gonna it'll sound better if you get a microphone, but I mean it's better than nothing.
And what I would say is when you do that, because we all tend to be like our own worst critics, shoot the video and then have a few other people look at it and give you their feedback. Because most often they're gonna be like they're gonna think it's better than you thought it was. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then from there, it's just a matter of getting it onto your computer. Yeah. If you shoot it with an iPhone, that's not hard. If you shoot it with a video camera that just has a little SD card in it, and you hook that up to your computer and you load it in. This is even a plug for Spotlight Branding. I mean, you're just going to save you a lot of pain if you just have a professional do this, because they're going to make sure it goes right the first time.
Yep, exactly.
And they're going to take care of all the back end work for you. We also like to, do things like add your logo to the video, maybe add the question in text on the screen, put your contact info up. Those might be things that you don't know how to do unless you're kind of tech savvy with certain editing software. And even if you are, you have to ask yourself what your hourly rate is and whether or not that's worth you spending your time on.
Right.
But all those things aside, if you get the lighting, the video, and the audio right, and you do it yourself, you're still going to have something worth using at this point.
So absolutely. So whether you do it yourself, whether you hire a professional, I think the most important thing is get on it. It's 2017. You really should be using video. It's just a huge marketing asset. So before we wrap up here, I want to give a quick plug. So I just this morning put the finishing touches on our July monthly newsletter that's going to go out in a couple of weeks. And we're covering a couple really cool topics, including how you can use Facebook and how you can use their sponsored post functionality to really get your posts in front of a more highly targeted and just a higher number of people, period. There's some really good tips in there. I think you guys will enjoy it. So we're going to drop a link into the comments right now, if we haven't already. And click on it, just enter your mailing address, your phone number, and we will get you signed up, and you can get signed up in time to receive the July edition. So,
and it's only, a few $100s a month?
Only a couple $100 a month. Actually, we're running a special this month. It's completely free. This month only, completely free. So be sure you sign up. So be sure you sign up.
Asterisk.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always free.
It's always free, probably.
For now.
So anyways, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week on Legal Marketing Live.